All right, welcome back to the 80 Star Basketball channel. As you can see, I changed up the backdrop, so got and the format kind of making it a little bit more correct. Got out of the sometimes I will be using the aspect ratio for the phone and everything of 16:9 and trying to get that in, but this is expansion in the channel change. So long time coming. I always had comments. There was a reason just for space and constraints and looking when I'm making the video. It just basically was something that I knew I need to fix, but it just took a little bit of time. But here we are. I'm going to be doing this. So weekly, I'm kind of going into a format where I'm kind of figuring out what I can do. And then once a week, I'd like to do the auction action on Mondays, and then maybe in the midweek sometime do a spotlight, and then I at the end of the week close off with kind of like news recap, what happened, kind of just for anything in the hobby or Star in particular, but kind of like this video, just a stream of consciousness with news and any updates or anything. So I will see how this goes as far as format, but I'm just really happy to kind of come here and chat. I did want to talk about this time about my predictions for the year. I went back and watched my video from of what I was predicting for what was going to be hot. The 101, the 288 was actually more correct than I thought on that, and definitely on fire for the 101. Again, my opinion on that one, it definitely is massively undervalued, and I can show that. I'll talk to that in a second. But the other part was I saw Fleer as, kind of steadying and decline. And I see that somewhat. I more see it kind of stopping, like stabilized, like the market's more kind of stabilized. Some things are falling. I'm not tracking the full of the market. I'm really just kind of tracking 86 Fleer prices for the Jordan. And some of the others, like a Bird Irving Magic, maybe I'll look at here and there, and some old vintage. But, I definitely see it's been declining, obviously, over the years of the hype. I thought those were very high, artificial, non-market, historically supported prices. And so I saw that kind of easily falling, and that's, took a no-brainer to see that one, just like I see the no-brainer with the 101. We'll see with the 86 Fleer if that continues slow decline. I'm seeing differences between auctions, so I'm not trusting auction prices that much. And I did want to say that's one thing I want to kind of give a kind of a warning of, is until eBay gets their full pricing down, it's very hard to trust vault prices or buy it now prices with the vault with no fees, because simply it can be used as a trading mechanism, and quite honestly, until that's an eBay thing, they gotta fix that. But as far as like auction prices for elsewhere and whatnot, in anything, I always have a leery eye and making sure, and that even goes for the 101, anything, is make sure that you understand that markets can be manipulated when people have money and they have a vested interest, so that they can go in, and it doesn't take much to move, on a few cards and then have everyone's opinion. So you really have to look at what it was, and is this a Probstein auction, and what does that mean? That kind of thing. So just more vigilance, I think, is necessary. But also, kind of going in that. So I looked at my predictions and the things that I'm picking up. I'm still picking up when I can, rare cards. I'm now a little focused on the 101. I got caught up in the timing on one, but my accuracy for predicting, I was trying to scream. I've been saying it since I started months ago, and I've been saying it on the forums. BGS 7.5s, if you find them with the right subs, those cross over, and those are your best value, because they kind of like are a mesh of, if you look at values of 8, they're kind of if you look at charts, it's kind of where it's a great point and to point of what cost is, and to what quality is. And it's an intersection that I saw and I capitalized on. And, it's one of those that the market was still there. That's completely dried up a while ago. The quality of cards now are all crossing over, and PSA, your BGS, what I'm going to see for going forward, and this is a bit of advice, is I'm seeing it, is now BGS copies are going to be more, the subs are going to be fine nines in those subs are going to be hard, and they're going to get harder as time goes on. As those get entrenched in collections, it's basically going to be much harder to pick up higher subgrades, and especially at lower prices. So that's kind of what I mean. You can get one, you just got to pay a lot more, and substantially more, which is a rising price. So think about that for a second. And it kind of going on, things that I've been looking at in terms of price predictions and things that that's why I'm picking up the rare things and kind of going. I want to get things. Supply means everything to me. And I just watched, yesterday Dustin came out with supply sign cards, and he actually talked about the 101, and I thought that was cool. And it's definitely, it to me matters the most. And there's a couple things, because you take it in context, and I'm going to be discussing that also in some upcoming videos. But supply side is so important. It's so vastly important. And it kind of Captain Obvious, but it's also how you ask the question. So, and ask the context. And that's something that I think is a skill and something to kind of work on when you're buying. Going other than the price predictions, the things that I'm watching, I got one wrong recently. My predictions on the prices of auctions have generally been about right. I kind of calling them high, and some people aren't, and they kind of getting there. This last week we had a PSA 7. And the more I thought it was going to go for around 34, 35, and it actually went for 30, which is now the fourth sale at the exact average of 30. So it looks like a good price point for a PSA 7 at the moment. And one thing I did notice after I did my video on the auction and looking at it was the fact that it was more off-centered than I kind of give it. I try to be very clear about my bias with centering. So when I talk about cards and stuff with a 101, they're all off-centered. So I give it that pass. When I see a centered one, I can recognize it just like everyone else. It's not, you kind of take it in. But as far as me wanting a card, I will look past that much more than I will with any other card. All of the cards, they generally have that frame, and it's easy to tell. But with the 101, PSA and BGS can't even agree on centering. So, the centering is a very subjective with this card, and it shouldn't be. That's what's weird about centering. It should be kind of like, but it really does come down to, personal preference. So I view it lightly. So, and that's what some people are saying. Well, this doesn't have the eye appeal because centering, and that was a valid statement. I kind of lean towards that in the auction, but it was affected by a couple of factors. That being one of them. For it only going 30, I thought momentum might take it. That was my reasoning. You never know with momentum, but. And in hindsight, it always is crystal clear, or it's always more clear, not crystal. But the fact that there's a bunch of auctions going on in Heritage and PWCC right now, people are trying to capitalize on this big jump in prices, and those will get weeded out, and they will sell. And my personal thing is they're going to regret it soon. Whoever sold, well, when I say soon, I don't know the time frames, that it's going to take time. I want to see it take time. If prices are going to go up, I want it to take time. It's organic, and it's supply and demand of a normal functioning market. The other thing about that is I personally, and I want to be crystal clear and try, it's hard to believe it for someone who owns a 101, but I really am bittersweet on that card going up in value. If it drops, I'll be happy to pick up more. And if it goes up, it's great in one sense, but I'm not selling it. So I'm not going to be profiting off this card. So it kind of like, I would rather it stay low. So I do want more copies of it. So I'm kind of hoping it contains, but obviously we'll see how that works out. But in terms of also kind of being me, I want to say, confirmation of my assessment, it going up. I like, it's good for me to see. It's like, oh yeah, this is a no brainer. And, it is I'm just thinking it's kind of, I don't want to say natural, but it essentially is obvious to me that this is one trajectory only. So on that note, I do want to say that I'm going to be working on video. There's going to be a thing I'm going to be working on. This is going to take me time. I'm going to be working on data modeling for valuations. I want to, when I say that I think it's undervalued, what does that mean? How do you value a card? And how do you value scarcity? And that's a difficult thing to answer. I use basically data, as we all do, but I think because of my years, I'm a software engineer for 25 years. I've noticed that I think differently in how I view the cards, and that most people do. And I still talk to you, hey, what's the pop count of this? The way you hear it. But I have found that there is a big difference the way, and I will share my thinking in these videos, and I'm hoping to give you a vastly new perspective. I can guarantee you I will give you a new perspective completely on how to value cards and how to discern information and how to look at it. And it will be using two components. It's essentially data modeling, logic, establishing facts at a point in time. So context and logic. So I'm going to be using both of those, and you take context and you take data and logic, and you put them together to come to an analysis of what's going on, what's happening, and where things are going. So I want to put that together. That's going to take me some time because as I keep thinking about it, I keep going down. Oh, I'm going to have to explain this, and the videos start to turn long. So I'm trying to figure out how to break it up right now and put that out. So I'm working on that currently, and that's just in the planning stage. How do I do this? But it goes on with pop counts and responding to a user comment from John. So I didn't forget at all. It's just doing it has turned into a much bigger topic. But I think it really is discussing valuations and how to look at something. At the same token, it's funny, in the same data, in the same equations, I have shown, at a extremely high probability rate that the 101 Star Jordan is the only rookie card, and the 86 Fleer is simply a third-year card. I can show that with context and logic, and I would like to substantiate that, because most people just go, it's the rookie card because National distributed, and it's like, well, what do you mean by that? And well, it's nationally distributed, and and pack pulled, and well, what does that mean? Let's break that down. And most people can't. Basically, it turns into I'm louder than you, and your voice gets raised, and that's whoever is loudest wins. And if you actually break down the logic, it gets to be a very, very simple answer, and the data shows with probabilities that no, there are conclusions to be made, and the analysis points simply in one direction. And also the same thing with valuations. You can get help looking at different ways. So that's coming. So I'm going to be looking at that. So again, the other thing on the format is I do want to do that. So one day a week, I would like to get out the auction action. I would like to get a spotlight in, and then something like this, kind of where I'm talking in news and, kind of things that might have happened for the week. So, wanted to talk about that. So anyway, I will see how the next week goes, and like, subscribe, and then I'll see you at the next video.